Hello everyone, I'm Nurul Huda Shahid and I welcome you all to today's interview with Madam Zeba Hai Azhar, who works as Member Customs Operations at the Federal Board of Revenue. This interview is conducted under the banner of Khadijah Women Entrepreneurship Program by Pakistan Single Window. The second Khadijah workshop, recently conducted in Lahore, allowed participants to gain insights from experienced mentors, learn how to leverage digital tools for cross-border business, and connect with the community of like-minded women traders. Madam Zeba Hai Azhar joined us in this event as chief guest. She has been working with Pakistan Customs since 1987 and during her tenure she has served at various important positions. She is also the first woman to be the member customs operations at the Pakistan Customs. Assalamu alaikum madam, how are you?
Walaikum salam. I'm fine. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure joining you people.
My first question is, what is the culture within the customs administration that encourages and supports women professionals?
Actually, when I joined in 1987, there were only a handful of women officers. But over the years, as you know, more officers have joined and there's more awareness among the women folk that they should study and join the government service in addition to the private sector. But my own experience in customs it was always a very modern and progressive organization. Even when I joined in 1987, and with only a handful, even then we were treated as individuals, as professionals, and as an officers. So for me, and over the years, you know that Pakistan Customs, as you already know, that PSW is also one of the homegrown sort of. This is the effort of Pakistan Customs officers. And we have become more automated, and I think we've become more modern. And most of our officers are now leading the operations as collectors. Most of the collectors are women, and we have chief collectors, we have women officers doing all sorts of jobs, including enforcement, like the anti-smuggling operations are also being led by them in many formations. So I think we have kept up the tradition of being modern and forward-looking. This is how I've seen Pakistan Customs, and I hope that we continue to grow like that in future as well.
That was really insightful. Talking about Khadijah, what do you think that initiatives like Khadijah Women Entrepreneurship Program can help women break barriers?
I think the most important thing whenever we talk about empowering women is empowering them financially. And I think financial independence is key to empowering women folk. So programs like Khadijah, which empower women and women entrepreneurs and help them to reach that level of being integrated into the main business cycle in the country. I think it's very important because in order for women to live with dignity and respect, it's imperative that they not only study but also become financially independent and earn their way and become integrated into the workforce of the country. It's not only for them but also for the progress of the country. It's imperative that the women, which constitute nearly 50 and more than 50% of the population of the country, should become integrated into the economic cycle of this country. So I think on an individual level for women themselves, it's important, and we should have these sort of programs which help women to develop into independent and self-respecting individuals.
So, ma'am, what do you think? What are the steps that the government and different organizations can take to reduce the gender gap, strengthen the women's socio-economic role in our economy and society, and promote social inclusion?
I think one of the initiatives which the government of Pakistan took a long time ago was to allocate a quota for women officers in various services. That is, you can appear in the CSS examination and have a merit seat, and also apart from those merit seats, each and every service had to have a quota representing women so that the gender gap is bridged. I feel that maybe something like this needs to be done in the private organizations also. Not only that there should be a fair share of representation of women in all these private organizations. Perhaps the government can do that so that this gender gap is bridged. In addition to that, I think they can also make the environment more conducive for women to work in these organizations. And you have to view them as individuals with peculiar needs of their own. And for instance, we created a nursery at the Lahore Dry Port for women who had smaller children. These are the things which help women, which make them feel that they are seen and heard as individuals and as people who are peculiarly, who are different from the men. Being different does not mean that you are lesser. It just means that you have your own peculiar needs and you need your own recognition as an individual. And I think that it's important that somehow or the other, the private organizations and even the state-owned enterprises like the PSW, we need to put these safeguards in there so that till the women are completely integrated in the economic stream of the country, we have these interventions to help them to help them enter the workforce and to bridge the gender gap. It's very important. And I think maybe the government should do something not only at a government level, but also at a private organization level. Maybe they can have some cookie points to like we have rewards and we have these rewards and recognition for tax compliant organizations. Perhaps you can have these rewards and cookie points for gender compliant organizations. I think this is one way of encouraging them to have more women in their organizations.
So my last question from you would be, what are the challenges that you faced in your professional journey, and what advice would you like to give to our young women professionals and entrepreneurs who are aspiring to be future leaders just like you?
Actually, when we entered, like it was nearly 36 years ago, it was more an effort to be recognized and that you should not be less than. It was not like you had to compete all the time with the men folk. I think with the passage of time, that has decreased. There's more visibility of women in organizations. There are more women out in work environments. So I think that sort of pressure to have yourself being recognized is not there. And I think that's something that is progress. But one thing which I always feel, because whatever I am today is because of my father. And he instilled this confidence and gave us this confidence to be individuals and to be independent and to be forward-looking. And as you grow along, then you realize that it was your father in the beginning. My mother, of course, was very supportive, and then it was your husband who is, forward-looking enough and progressive enough and wants you to be an independent person. What I would like to see in the future, perhaps, is that we don't need any male support to be where we are. And although it is good to have supportive people around you, but I think the society itself should gear itself in a manner that there are no support roles required for any woman to enter into an economic activity. For me personally, I think I've always fought for this, and I think if you work hard enough, you attain that as well, to be recognized as a professional, as an officer, and not as a female. And I think it's very, very difficult to somehow overcome what you are, because you are a female in a work environment, manned mostly by men. So it's very difficult. But if you work hard and if you insist on being recognized as a professional and as an individual, I think it works out. So my message for the younger female entrepreneurs and females as a whole would be to work hard, to be independent in their thought processes, and to be forward-looking, and while doing so, still retain their value systems. It's possible to do that. You can have a modern mind, but you can still go along with the value systems of this country. So I think it's very important that you take both these things along and progress as an individual. But it's very important to be financially independent. It's very important to work very hard and to somehow overcome what we cannot, because we are females, but somehow overcome the feeling and the being of a female and become only professionals. And that you can do with hard work and with a no-nonsense attitude in your workplace. So I think that is something which I would like to encourage. But it is a lot of hard work, particularly in a society like ours, where you have to have yourself recognized as an individual and as a professional. So that's what, just hard work, I think, basically.
Thank you, ma'am, for this interview. I'm sure our audience got a lot out of this discussion that we had. And to our audience, thank you so much for joining us today. Stay tuned on our social media for more such interviews and discussions. Till then, keep exploring and stay curious.